Hello. So I understand that from my previous video, the resolution for the loops program was not very good. So here we go. Just the program part of it. What happens when you write the while loop, right? So the rest of it, I'm not going to go over, but I am going to go over the while loop. So if we look in our slide set, here's where I started talking about the while loop and the program and the resolution was not very good. So while num not equal to zero, right? We read a number and we print it. So this is kind of like the budget program that you have been trying to write. So let's write a program that reads a number. So let's write our def main. I'm not going to write the comments. I'm going to hope that you're going to write all the comments and stuff. So def main is going to have a couple of numbers. Let's say I just want to read numbers from the user. So let's add that as a comment. What am I trying to do here? Okay, so I want to read numbers from the user and I want to be able to add the sum of all the numbers. Okay, so what we're going to do is read the numbers and add all the numbers, and we quit when the user enters 0. That's our condition. Okay, so here's my def main, and we're going to say user num, the number that we're going to read from the user, is set to 0. We're going to say sum equals 0. And if we look at the slide says go through a while loop. And where's my slide? Here, right here, not that. How about this one? Okay. While num not equal to 0, you go into the loop, you read a number, and that doesn't show you how to add. Here is the slide that shows you how to add. Okay, so let's go back to our replit, and we are going to now say while. So here's the other thing, right? My number starts at 0. So if I say while num not equal to 0, it is equal to 0. It's never going to go into the loop. So that's not a good thing to do. So we might have to start this at -1 or something like that. And I also have to change this to user num because I call it user num. While user num not equal to 0, we go into the loop and we first tell the user to enter a new number. So user num equals int input enter a number. This could be like your expense for the budget calculation, right? Enter an expense and they enter it. And I added sum plus equals. Here's a new syntax that says take user num, add it to sum, and put it back in sum. This is the same as saying sum equals sum plus user num. So we add it, okay? And we keep doing that. So if I stop the loop, meaning if I stop typing inside of the loop and I come outside right there and print your sum is, and I print the sum, what I get is the while loop starts here. User num is not equal to 0. No, it's not equal to 0. It's -1. So we're going to go inside. We're going to read a number from the user, put it into user num. We're going to take that and add it to sum, put it back in sum. These statements are the same, these two. And the loop says keep going because these are the two statements in the loop. It keeps doing the loop. When the user enters 0, we come out of there and we print the sum. Okay, now to call the whole function. That's what that does. So if we run that, enter a number 5, 6, 1, or 3, and 0. So now it says your sum is 15. It added all the numbers, right? So that's kind of what we do inside of while loops. Whatever you want to do inside the while loop, it happens in there. So if you go back and take a look at our slide set, that's what we're doing right here. We are starting off with a number and we are adding a few things. And again, the order of the statements really matters in your while loop, but that's a very simple while loop. You could do the same. You could do this for your expense program. Start off with a budget, right? This is what we were trying to do. And so if you go here, instead of user num, I would say budget. Budget is going to be read from the user. Sum is okay. I'm also going to get expense equals 0. Okay, expense equals 0. So while budget not equal to 0, that means as long as their budget is not equal to 0, we go in and let's say I say expense equals enter an expense. Okay, here. All right, enter an expense. User enters an expense, right? It goes into expense. Then I will add that to sum. I will keep on adding that to sum. Every time they enter an expense, I add it to sum. Okay? And so this should really be expense, not budget, while expense not equal to 0. So enter an expense, then you say 0 to stop. Okay? So until they enter 0, we keep adding. When we come out, we don't just print, we check. We do balance equals budget minus expense. Okay? Then you write an if statement. If balance greater than 0, then you tell them print you are under budget because balance is greater than 0, under budget, and your balance is, and you output balance. And I'm going to declare balance on the top and initialize it. We always should be declaring our variables and initializing them to 0. Else, what if it is not the case? Else you're going to print, this is a very quick and dirty program, you can make it better. You are over budget and your overdraft, let's call it, it's not balanced anymore, overdraft is, and you're up to the new balance, right? And so if you run this, what you're going to get is something. Oh, it says you're over. Okay, so while expense not equal to 0, it goes in. Let's see what's wrong with this. Oh, I'm not reading budget from the user at all. So let's read budget. Budget equals int input, right? Input, I'll fix that. Enter your budget. So we need to get that from the user. So then change that, input, right? So now let's try it. Okay, it says enter your budget, 500. Hey, it says you're under budget and your balance is blah, blah, blah. So while, oh, expense not equal to 0. Let's change that to expense not equal to, if we start at -1, then it will go into our loop. We need to make sure we go into the loop the first time. There we go. So 100 is my first expense, 20, 50, and I say 0. Oops, it didn't say 0. Let's run it again. Okay, 500 is my budget. $100, $20, $2, $30, 0. So it says you are under budget. Your balance is $500. That's not right. So what did I not? Oh, I should subtract some, not expense. I should subtract some, all the little bugs that we have, that we could have. I should not subtract expense from it because that would be budget minus 0. Sum is what I need to subtract from it. So as I'm typing this, I'm hoping you find the bugs. So 100, 20, 30, and 0. There we go. So it says you're under budget and your balance is 350. So lots of little mistakes that we could make in our program as we write. But so we start, budget can be started at 0. Let's start that at 0 because that really doesn't do anything. Okay. But balance can be started at 0. Expense should start at -1 because our while loop is checking to see if it is not equal to 0. So if I set this equal to 0, then it'll never go in there, right? So you need to start your variables at something. Most of them start at 0, but when we do some of these checks, you want to make sure you start it at a certain point. So now if I'm going to go over budget, let's say my budget is only 20 and I spend 20 and 10 and then I'm done. I put in a 0. It says now you're over budget and your overdraft is this much. So try some of these things. This is really what the budget program was about. So this is our while loop lesson.